Good morning. Today we are going to discuss examination of the motor system. Examination of the motor system is an extensive examination which includes a number of points. Let us see what are the points that are to be examined. First is the bulk of the muscles. Next comes tone of the muscles. Next comes power of the muscles. Next, reflexes. Next, coordination, gait, and any involuntary movements present or not. These are the 7 points that you will have to check for in the examination of the motor system. Now I will discuss bulk of the muscles, tone of the muscles and power of the muscles and how to examine them, and the remaining part will be discussed with you by Abhijit sir. Okay. Before I start, I must tell you that for examination of these, I could not find a subject in the department. So I had to do the examinations of tone and power from my home. So pardon me from that, and please do check the video of the examinations. Okay. So let us start with bulk of muscles. So bulk of muscle is nothing but muscle mass. You will have to inspect for muscle mass. That is, you just see the muscle and see if the muscle mass is normal or not. Just inspect. How are you going to inspect? You must expose the muscle. You must expose the concerned muscle. You must expose the concerned muscle, but maintain privacy of subject. Expose the muscle, but maintain the privacy of the subject. Okay, and must examine bilaterally. Must examine bilaterally. That means if you are asked to check for the bulk of the biceps muscle, do not stop by only checking for in the right hand. Check bilaterally. Expose the biceps muscle bilaterally and see for the muscle mass on both sides. Clear? But make sure you maintain the privacy of your subject. Do not make him feel uncomfortable. Clear? Okay. So, usually in normal subjects, you will find that the bulk of muscle is normal and equal bilaterally. Bulk of the muscle you will only inspect and you will see that it is normal and equal on both sides. Clear? But in some cases there may be some abnormalities. What are the abnormalities of the bulk of muscle? Abnormality may be atrophy. Atrophy means decreased muscle bulk. Decreased muscle bulk. Atrophy. Where do you find atrophy of the muscle? You will find atrophy of the muscle in case of injury or disease of a joint. Injury or disease of a joint. For example, if your knee joint is injured or your knee joint is immobilized, then the quadriceps femoris of that side will be atrophied. The muscle bulk of the quadriceps femoris will be decreased. Okay, that is due to injury or disease of a joint. How else can the muscle be atrophied? If there is a disease or injury of the nerve supplying the muscle. So these may be the reasons for atrophy of muscles, that is decreased muscle bulk. Now, this is decreased muscle bulk. So naturally there will be something called increased muscle bulk, and as you know, increased muscle bulk is known as hypertrophy. Increased muscle bulk, hypertrophy. Where do you find it? Examples you might be asked in your examination. As you know, in Duchenne's muscular dystrophy, there is pseudo-hypertrophy of calf muscles. Right, you all know this. Whereas if there is a continued heavy workload, on the muscle, or in certain myotonic disorders, in these cases there is true hypertrophy of muscles. Clear? So you understand what is atrophy and what are the conditions causing atrophy, what is hypertrophy and what are the conditions causing hypertrophy. Okay, so for bulk of muscles, you are only going to expose the muscle, maintaining the privacy of your subject, and just see. Just look at the muscle and examine, but bilaterally, on both limbs, on both sides. Okay, clear? Next comes tone of the muscles. Next comes tone of the muscles. Tone of the muscles. What do you mean by tone? Tone means partial state of contraction, of healthy muscles at rest. Tone is defined as partial state of contraction of healthy muscles at rest. Why does this happen? This happens due to gamma efferent discharge. Tone is maintained due to gamma efferent discharge. So tone is partial state of contraction of healthy muscles at rest, and it is due to gamma efferent discharge. Now in your examination, you might be asked how tone is maintained. I hope this has been covered in your CNS classes, but still I am just going through a gist. I am not going into the details, that is out of scope here. I am just going through a gist, just superficially covering how tone is maintained, and I hope you know that too. So tone is regulated at two levels. One is segmental level and the other is supraspinal level. Right? I think you know this, but still just a gist. Tone is maintained at two levels, regulated at two levels, segmental level and supraspinal level. At segmental level, tone is maintained by the stretch reflex and the gamma efferent discharge. Again, I am not going into the details, you know this already, just superficially. Segmental level, tone is regulated by stretch reflex and gamma efferent discharge. At the supraspinal level, what happens? Various areas of the brain regulate gamma efferent discharge via pyramidal and extrapyramidal tracts. Clear? So segmental level, stretch reflex and gamma efferent discharge, and supraspinal level, various areas of the brain regulate the gamma efferent discharge via pyramidal and extrapyramidal tracts. So what are these? What are the areas that regulate tone? There are certain areas that activate or facilitate the gamma efferent discharge, certain areas that inhibit the gamma efferent discharge. So cerebral cortex, basal ganglia, and inhibitory reticular formation, they inhibit the gamma efferent discharge. Facilitatory reticular formation, vestibular nucleus, they give excitatory impulses to the gamma efferent discharge. Cerebellum is excitatory in humans but is inhibitory in all other animals. Okay, cerebellum is excitatory in humans but inhibitory in all other animals. So these are the structures that affect, either inhibit or excite the gamma efferent discharges. Okay, so but you must remember one thing, that the inhibitory effect is more in comparison to the excitatory effect. As a result, the tone somewhat normally remains diminished. That is because the inhibitory effect of these areas is more than the excitatory effect of these areas on the gamma efferent discharge. Clear? Now, hypertonia. Hypertonia is increased muscle tone. Hypertonia means increased muscle tone. Where do you find hypertonia? Where do you find hypertonia? Hypertonia is typically found in upper motor neuron lesions. Upper motor neuron lesions, you find hypertonia, may be due to pyramidal tract lesions, right? In pyramidal tract lesions, you will find a type of hypertonia that is known as spasticity. Spasticity. What do you mean by spasticity? Spasticity means tone increases in proportion to increase in speed of passive stretch. Tone increases in proportion to increase in speed of passive stretch. That is, the more you passively stretch a muscle, the more will be the increase in tone of that muscle. Okay? The more you increase the speed, the more will be the tone of the particular muscle. And I'll erase this part. A typical pattern of spasticity that is commonly seen is known as the clasp knife spasticity or the clasp knife phenomenon. Okay, clasp knife phenomenon is seen in pyramidal tract lesions type of upper motor neuron lesion. Okay, what is clasp knife phenomenon or clasp knife spasticity? It is a type of spasticity in which the tone increases. Tone increases with increase in speed of passage stretch followed by a sudden letting go of resistance. Okay, tone increases with increase in speed of passive stretch followed by a sudden letting go of resistance. That means you are passively stretching the muscle, so the tone is, you will understand that the tone is increasing, and suddenly you will find that all the resistance is gone. Everything becomes flaccid. Okay, that is known as the clasp knife phenomenon or the clasp knife type of spasticity seen in pyramidal tract lesions of upper motor neuron lesions. Okay. Now another thing that is to be remembered in pyramidal tract lesions is that only one group of muscles are affected. Only one group of muscles affected. That is either only the flexors or only the extensors. That is either only the agonist or only the antagonist. Never both groups of muscles are affected in pyramidal tract lesions. Okay? Only one group of muscles affected. Now this was about pyramidal tract lesions. How else can an upper motor neuron lesion happen? It may happen due to an extrapyramidal tract lesion. Then also you will have hypertonia. That is, tone of the muscles is increased. So, extrapyramidal tract lesions. In pyramidal tract lesion, you found spasticity. In extrapyramidal tract lesion, you will find rigidity. So, definitely rigidity has also got a definition. What is rigidity? Rigidity is increased tone at rest. Rigidity is increased tone at rest. Clear? And rigidity may be again of two types. Lead pipe rigidity. Lead pipe rigidity and cogwheel rigidity. Lead pipe rigidity and cogwheel rigidity. What is lead pipe rigidity? Lead pipe rigidity means increased tone throughout the range of joint movement. Clear? Throughout you will find rigidity. You are moving passively, stretching the muscle passively. Throughout the range of movement, you will find that there is increased muscle tone. And what is cogwheel rigidity? Cogwheel rigidity means on trying to move the joint, the muscle shows cogwheel like jerks. So cogwheel is an instrument that whenever you try to move the cogwheel, it jerks and moves. Similarly, when you try to move the joint, the muscle will show cogwheel like jerks if there is cogwheel rigidity. Okay. These are the two types of rigidity that you see in extrapyramidal tract lesions, lead pipe rigidity and cogwheel rigidity. And what is different from pyramidal tract lesion is that both groups of muscles involved. that is both agonist and antagonist group of muscles involved, both flexors and extensors. Clear? So this is about hypertonia seen in pyramidal tract lesions and extrapyramidal tract lesions. There are a number of other conditions also where you can find these types of lesions, where you can find hypertonia. I am not going into the details because these are the most important ones. You already know, I suppose, the other causes. You go through them from your theory books. Next comes hypotonia. Hypotonia means decreased muscle tone. Decreased muscle tone seen in disease in afferent pathway. Okay, first is decreased muscle tone seen in lower motor neuron type of lesion. It is also known as segmental lesion. Clear? This is seen in disease in afferent pathway of stretch reflex, as for example pubis dorsalis, seen in disease in efferent pathway of stretch reflex, that is the anterior horn cells, that is poliomyelitis, I'll erase this. May be seen in disease of the muscle itself, as for example different myopathies. Now sleep is a normal condition where there is hypotonia. If you are asked a normal condition where there is hypotonia, you will say sleep. And certain drugs like barbiturates. Certain drugs like barbiturates cause decreased tone of the muscles. Okay. Now how do you examine the tone of muscles? Again, you must remember three important points. Three very important points is that expose the muscle concern, maintain privacy, and examine bilaterally. Three very important points you must remember for tone, must remember for power. Okay. Please expose the muscle, maintain the privacy of your subject, make him or her feel comfortable, and you must examine bilaterally. Okay. Now, how tone of the muscle is examined? Ideally, you should be able to check for the tone of all the muscles of the body. Okay. But at your level, we only ask you to examine tone of the flexors and extensors of the elbow joint and tone of the flexors and extensors of the knee joint. Only this much. So what is the flexor of the elbow joint? The biceps. Extensors of the elbow joint? Triceps. Extensors of the knee joint? The quadriceps. And flexors of the knee joint? The hamstrings. These are the four groups of muscles that you will have to examine for tone as well as for power. I will come to power later on. Let us first finish up with tone. Okay, so these are the things the examiner will ask you. Examine the tone of the flexors of the elbow joint, or examine the tone of the extensors of the knee joint, like this. So you will have to examine tone of flexors and extensors of elbow joint and tone of flexors and extensors of knee joint. This is the thing that you must know. You must expose the muscle, must maintain privacy, and must examine bilaterally on both limbs. Clear? Now how do you examine? I will show you how you will examine, but first let me just explain to you. Tone means passive stretching of the muscle. So how do you stretch a muscle? Naturally, when the muscle is functioning its own function, then the muscle is not stretched, then the muscle is contracted. So when the muscle is performing the opposite function, then only the muscle will be stretched. That is our motto. We need to stretch the muscle. Clear? Next, we will have to passively stretch the muscle. Means the subject will not do anything. We will do it for him. Right? So, passive stretch. Very important. Passively stretch the muscle. Clear? How do you passively stretch? Perform the task that is opposite to the function of the muscle by yourself. Do not ask the subject to do it. You will do it yourself. Ask the subject to relax and you will perform passive stretch yourself. Clear? Okay. So what is the function of the example I am giving? What is the function of the biceps? The function of the biceps is flexion at the elbow joint. Clear? So how do you passively stretch the biceps? You will passively extend the elbow joint to check for the tone of the biceps. What is the function of the triceps? The function of the triceps is extension of the elbow joint. So how do you passively stretch the triceps? You will passively flex the elbow joint to stretch the triceps. I hope I am clear. So now let us look at how you will examine the tone of the muscles concerned.